Welcome to the Duncan Duo Radio Show, hosted by Andrew Duncan, the official real estate agents of the Tampa Bay Lightning. As Tampa Bay's top-selling real estate team with over $3 billion in sales and thousands of homes closed, sell your home with ease, guaranteed in 14 days or they'll buy it. Visit theduncanduo.com. Here's your host, Andrew Duncan.
Happy Sunday, Tampa Bay. And how about those Tampa Bay Lightning? Man, a couple of overtime games to start the playoffs. Exciting stuff. And then a knockout punch from Hagel, which was pretty awesome, too. So, nonetheless, proud to be aligned with the Lightning. Got to go to their VIP playoff party before the first game, which was pretty cool to get to see some ex-players and hear from ownership. And what a well-run organization, and just exciting to be part of what they're doing in Tampa Bay. Hope they continue winning. And we can continue talking about Tampa real estate like we do every single week. And, you know, I want to get to something that we're experiencing in our business right now that I think a lot of customers, as well as a lot of real estate agents, are dealing with right now. And it is the number of cancellations. And this is cancellations of contract as well as cancellations of listings. And I think it's actually the highest percentage in the industry that I've seen. Now, ours isn't the highest, you know, in my team, but the industry is seeing the highest percentage of these cancellations that they've ever seen. And I want to go through this a little bit because I think it's important to guide consumers away from making the mistakes that end up causing them to cancel. And then also the idea as to why a lot of consumers are canceling and should not. So whenever you have a, polarizing economic situation like we have right now, which is, a very volatile stock market, a volatile news cycle, a war in Iran, interest rates, are volatile as well. So all this volatility causes fear. Now, when you're dealing with professional investors that are buying homes to renovate and resell, or buying them to flip, or buying them long term, similar to the stock market, when you're dealing with traders or analysts or hedge funds, those individuals are professionals. They don't let a lot of that short-term news, affect their decision-making. They use that short-term news to their benefit. They wait for dips in the market, or they wait for rates to rise, and then they can jump in and buy assets at better prices because they're buying long-term. The regular homeowner, though, that's buying a home isn't thinking about it as much as an investment. They're thinking about it more from an emotional standpoint. And a lot of times they're motivated by fear. So fear drives them more than excitement. We've had more customers cancel over the tiniest little things out of fear to counteract the excitement of having their kids in their new backyard and a bigger backyard or a bigger, nicer house or whatever it is. But it's fear that overtakes a lot of these deals and causes buyers to emotionally react, not financially react, but emotionally react and bounce because they're afraid of, a crash, afraid of the market getting worse, afraid of they're just looking for a reason to cancel. So first, I want to talk about why listing contracts so often cancel and in where that kind of comes into play. A lot of the reason listing contracts fail, okay, a majority of the reason listing contracts fail is you either hired the wrong agent, okay, and then didn't get results, and now you want out because you didn't do your part on the front end. You looked for the cheap agent, you looked for the new and experienced agent, or you went with your uncle's brother's cousin's friend, and you made a mistake, and now you're trying to back out of that mistake, okay? The other reason is that you overpriced the house. Those are the two telltale signs for why listing contracts get canceled. And most sellers don't want to accept responsibility. They want to play the blame game. They want to blame someone else, when in reality, just like when I hire someone in my business and 3 to 4 months down the line realize they're not working, want to blame that person. Well, I hired him, like you hired the agent, you made a bad hire. And now you've got to backtrack. But what I want to talk to home sellers about is how not to make that mistake. Once you've made that mistake and you realize it, of course, we've sold thousands of homes, thousands. Let me repeat that. We have sold thousands of homes that were previously listed with other agents, failed to sell, and then we relisted them. Okay, thousands. So we are an expert at this. We've done this so many times. We know how to rebrand, repurpose, remarket, the strategies for how long it needs to go off the market, the strategy for what we need to do when we put it back on the market. All of we've done it so many times. We're experts at it. So if you've gotten to that place, there are solutions to help. It's better to make that decision sooner rather than later. The longer you wait to make that decision, the more financial loss you have, the more risk you have, and the harder it is to rebrand the property and go back on. It's better to make that decision quicker than later. The second thing that I would tell you is how to avoid, if you're a home seller right now and you haven't put your home on the market, here's some tips on how to avoid being one of those cancellations. Number one, make sure that you're hiring an agent or a team that sells a lot of real estate, okay? The years of experience are not relevant compared to the number of transactions. It would be like, again, if you look at the NBA, there's an NBA player that's been in the league for 20 years, but never plays. And then there's a guy that's in his second or third year, and he's a superstar MVP, right? You're going with the superstar MVP. Go with the guy that's playing more, okay? Go with the guy that's got more transactions, or the lady that's got more transactions. Don't, so you want somebody that sells a lot of real estate. You want somebody that's got a marketing approach. You want a system behind them. Too many people don't do the work on the front end, and you also don't want to hire the cheapest. Look, you get what you pay for. You hire the cheapest financial advisor, you're going to get the cheapest advice, you're going to lose money. You hire the cheapest mechanic, guess what? He's going to screw your car up. You hire the cheapest real estate agent, guess what? You have a higher chance at failure because they're either cutting money for marketing, they're not a great negotiator, so they're going to lose you money in negotiation because if they couldn't negotiate their own fee, how can you expect them to protect your equity in conversations you're never going to be a party to? So a lot of those mistakes people make. And it's especially important in a challenging market where it isn't as healthy and you need that skill set to survive. So hire somebody that's got a marketing plan, hire somebody that their team or their agent sells a lot of real estate. So they've got a lot of at-bats. They've got a system and a team behind them so that they're T's getting crossed and I's getting dotted, everything is getting taken care of from a detail perspective. The other thing that I would say is, another mistake is people will hire the agent that helped them buy the home, okay, or help them buy before. There are a lot of great real estate agents that are really good at helping buyers and maybe not as great at helping sellers. It's like if you look at like the legal world or the medical world, imagine going to a cardiologist to work on your foot, or imagine going to an estate attorney to help you with a criminal case, right? There's a different skill set and experience level between those people. The agents that are really good at listing homes may not be the right agent to help you buy, and the agents that help you buy may not be the best ones to help you list. It's a different skill set. Now, there are rare circumstances where someone's good at both. But the reality is the majority of the time you want somebody that's in that lane that focuses specifically on that with you. Another thing that matters is the price point. I have agents in my company that sell $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $9 million, $10 million houses. And then I have agents in my company that sell $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 houses. Okay. So all of those things matter. And we're going to align you with the agent that kind of checks off all those boxes. But consumers make a lot of mistake not doing that due diligence, or they feel guilty for not hiring a family member or friend. And that can cost you a lot of money. The next thing I would tell you is how failures happen and how cancellations happen is by overpricing your home. It takes two to tango. So when you're listing a home, it's the real estate agent and the seller, and they're attempting to come to terms on what to market the home at. There's no wrong or right answer in terms of, but it matters to the strategy. If your goal is to really sell your house and you overprice it, and then you chase the market and prices are dropping, by the time you do lower your price to what it should have been before, it's too late. And now you've got days on market that have piled up and you don't have demand. So pricing your home to sell is super important and a mistake so many consumers make with the real estate agent because they either don't listen, they think their house is the Taj Mahal, they think it's the best house in the neighborhood, they either don't listen or the agent isn't strong enough to tell them this is a mistake and you're going to lose money because they're either a weak salesperson or they're not experienced or they simply have very little business. So they're going to tell you what you want to hear to try and get your listing, and then over a period of time to try and work you down in price so that it can eventually sell. There's nothing, it's not that's inherently wrong, but in a hot market, that strategy can be successful when prices are rising. Because if you overprice it by a month or two down the line, there's appreciation. You maybe cut it once, and you know kind of the stars align. In a market where prices aren't doing that, okay, the opposite is occurring. So you're starting high and prices are dropping. So you cut it, but you're chasing. You're chasing a downward trend in the market, and you don't end up finding a buyer. So those are reasons why listing cancellations happen. You can avoid it. I would tell you rip the Band-Aid off sooner rather than later if your home is struggling to sell. I would also tell you if your home struggled to sell, and I would also tell you to, if you made a mistake, then try and rectify it. Every broker is a little bit different in terms of their cancellations. Sometimes you can get out of an agreement. Sometimes you cannot. And certainly you need to give your agent a chance and have some feedback. A lot of the time, what may be happening with the agent that you have isn't necessarily that they're bad. It's that you need to cut the price, and maybe you didn't listen. So it's certainly not always the agent's fault. A lot of times it rests on the seller and their ability to listen and listen to the agent's advice. If it's a pricing issue, everything may be right with the house. You may just need to cut the price. So the last thing I would say on cancellations of contract when you're under contract to buy a house. A lot of buyers cancel for small, minuscule reasons that are gonna occur on every single house. They cancel because the GFI outlet in the kitchen isn't working, or they cancel because the sand or the dirt is washed out from underneath the gutter. There's a lot of really simple things that I would tell you can be resolved with minimal money. And unless you have an unlimited budget, that home inspection report that scares a lot of buyers is meant to be a blueprint for the things that you need to take care of in your first few years of ownership. It doesn't always mean that everything needs to get addressed. Now, of course, if the roof is shot, if it's infested with termites, if the foundation's got a problem, if you find out there's mold or it was, the house flooded and they didn't disclose, there's certainly reasons to cancel. But most of the time, consumers cancel for a thing that they're going to find in the next house, and they're just blowing money. They're blowing money on inspections and appraisals, and they continue blowing time, energy, and money, only to eventually have the market teach them that everything that they saw in that first house is going to be consistent with the things that they see in the other houses too, unless they have an unlimited budget, and unless you have an unlimited budget, there's going to be issues with the home inspection. There's going to be things found that are wrong. So hopefully that makes sense in helping you hopefully that helps some agents make some sense on how to get through this and avoid having these record high cancellations. And the last tip that I'll give you to avoid contract cancellations, I would strongly encourage every contract for sale have the inspection and the appraisal done during the inspection period early. The sooner those two are out of the way, the easier you can let the emotion kind of subside and move towards progress. When you do the inspection first and the appraisal late in the process, there's still this overhang. And there's certainly the chance that the appraisal ends up coming in higher or lower and would change how the inspection gets negotiated or would require additional repairs. And then the seller feels, kind of duped that they did all these repairs. Now there's other stuff that's found. So I would encourage you to think like commercial real estate agents think, even though not for the same timeline, but get all that due diligence done in the same time frame. It'll make transactions smoother. It'll allow you to renegotiate once. It'll make it easier to get to closing and eliminate a lot of the emotional fear that causes deals to cancel. So hopefully that helps you avoid the record high cancellations in contract and listings right now. We'll be back continuing this conversation after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show.
Back to the Duncan Duo Radio Show, the official real estate agents of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Top team in Tampa Bay, over 3 billion sold and counting. Now your host, Andrew Duncan.
So we're back here talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. When we aren't on air, make sure to follow us at all of our socials, at The Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, DuncanDuo.com for a quick home value estimate, or a quick cash offer, you want an instant cash offer on your house, you can do that at duncanduo.com. I want to talk next to, my real estate agents out there, because I know I have a lot of you listening, and my marketers, okay? Anyone that's like a solo practitioner, individual business person, runs their own business. I feel like there's this cloud hanging over social media where, especially with AI coming and kind of the AI slop that's out there, where I'm seeing people like just kind of post the same stuff. Or I'm seeing a real estate agent post the same stats that another real estate agent posts. And while that's effective and it can be good if you're creating content, if you're a business, if you're an independent contractor, a salesperson, whatever, and you're thinking about creating content, what I would encourage you to think about is the riches are in the niches. Okay. So if you're a real estate agent listening to this and you haven't done video and you want to start doing video, the very first thing I would tell you is before you start trying to get perfect with it, I didn't just wake up one day and I was good at hosting a radio show. I didn't wake up one day and get comfortable on camera. It took a while. It took a lot of at-bats. Before you worry about how your video looks or how perfectly it's edited or what you're even talking about in the video, just do 30 days of consistently producing the video. Just be consistent with it. Even if the video is raw, even if it's not great, you're going to learn some things and you're going to form a habit. Once you form that habit and you're consistently doing it, then you're not going to get turned away by critique. I had an agent come to me not long ago and say, hey, I'm going to start doing video. Will you start critiquing it? And I said, no, I won't critique it until you've done it for 30 days. Because if I critique it on day 7, you're going to get insecure. You're going to feel attacked. You're going to think your videos aren't working. You're going to start to think that you suck, and you're not going to do the videos anymore because you don't have the habit formed yet. Don't even ask people for feedback. Do it for 30 days and establish the habit. Then look at the analytics so you'll see what's working and what's not. And what you learn from the analytics will tell you like what your audience is absorbing, what they're not. And if it's the same across the board, then again, you learn that you've got to do something to kind of juice the algorithm. What I would tell you also in terms of the riches or in the niches is that if you're shooting video, you want to attract a particular audience. Now, I'm a mass marketer. That's why I run radio ads and do billboard, and I've done TV, and we do the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm really more of a shotgun approach to where I'm advertising to the masses. It's expensive. So the individual solo practitioner, business owner, mortgage lender, real estate agent, title, any of these people are not going to be able to go out and spend millions of dollars a year on advertising. They just don't have the budget for it. But what they can do is dominate a niche or an audience. So if you have something that you're personally attached to, a hobby, maybe you speak a foreign language, maybe you're from a foreign country, maybe you're into cars, or maybe you're a basketball junkie, maybe you love playing hockey. Whatever it is that you have that's a niche, okay? Try and center your videos around that niche. Okay. And then you're going to attract a certain audience of people. If you consistently create that content, they're going to be able to relate to you. Okay. In a world of AI where it's not long before AI is going to take over calling and texting and all of these things, you've got to differentiate yourself, because the normal generic type content is just going to be repeated by AI slop. You've got to do something that's different. So brand yourself the hockey realtor, brand yourself the basketball realtor, go out, shoot some hoops, and then jump off to the side and start talking about real estate. Do something that's going to engage a certain segment of the audience that's going to instantly build rapport. And when you do that video, you're going to attract people that are going to like what you like, and it's going to be really easy to work with them. So if you have a unique hobby, if you collect coins, if you love your dogs, you have something unique that attracts other people to you, that's what you have to use when you produce video. But don't do it until you've done it for 30 days consistently. Don't do it until you've established the habit, and don't start asking for feedback until you've done it long enough to where the feedback isn't going to cause you to be insecure and stop doing it. I've seen so many people do this where they start doing video, and then 4 or 5 days in, somebody tells them their video sucks, and then they stop. Their insecurity overlaps their judgment and their excitement for gains and benefits to their business and attracting new customers to their business, and then they stop. the fear overtakes them. So don't let the insecurity and fear get in the way. Establish the confidence and do it long enough first, and then start focusing on some niches. Bring in your hobbies, bring in unique things, make it funny. And there are even some real estate agents don't even sell real estate anymore. They've just become content creators because they're funny or they're unique. So if you're in real estate and you want some additional business or you want another revenue pillar, the riches are in the niches. That really does apply to pretty much any industry. So when I have agents that work for me as a mass marketer, I don't need them to do the mass marketing. I need them to do the niches. I need them to target their friends and family. I need them to target the people in their hobbies. So that's what we teach our company. If you're an agent, hopefully that helps you. If you're a business owner, it's the same concept. Especially if you're a solo practitioner, smaller business owner, if you run an AC company and you're shooting the same kind of content that every AC company does, unless you're doing mass marketing alongside of it, you're not going to get much traction. How you're going to get traction is doing something memorable, unique, funny, or attaching it to some sort of hobby or niche that makes you the AC guy of whatever hobby that you have, and you'll attract those people. So hopefully that helps the marketers out there and the real estate agents listening to the show. Or we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to talk about what is going on in the buyer's market of Tampa Bay after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show.
And we're back with the Duncan Duo Radio Show, Tampa Bay's #1 real estate team. Over $3 billion in sales, thousands of happy clients, and official partners of the Lightning. Now your host, Andrew Duncan.
We're back talking about Tampa Bay real estate. I teased this before the break. We are in a buyer's market in Tampa Bay, especially in a lot of neighborhoods. Now, let me explain this. When I say this, sometimes people send us messages or get it twisted. It doesn't mean that this applies to every single home in every single neighborhood in Tampa Bay. It's more of a general thing. Real estate is not like the stock market. It is very hyper-local, meaning that one neighborhood may be doing really well and the neighborhood a mile away may be doing crappy, okay? Just like the stock market, you may have semiconductors like they've been recently on a major run, and then you have software companies getting crushed and oil being volatile depending on what's going on with Iran. There's segments. If you hear the stock market's up or the real estate market's up, that doesn't mean the whole thing is, okay? So when it comes to real estate, you have these niches in the marketplace where you have segments of the market that are doing better or worse. But what I want to talk about now is just kind of the median, kind of average price in Tampa Bay. It really has trended towards a buyer's market. Inventory has risen. Rates rose up a little bit. The market is softened. So buyers have a greater chance at getting interest rate buy downs, concessions, closing costs covered, negotiating off of the asking price. Now, where that differs and isn't always the case, again, depends on neighborhood, the statistics in that neighborhood, prices in that neighborhood. But generally speaking, that $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 average sale price range across Tampa Bay, it is more likely to be a buyer's market than not. So in those situations, the buyers again have the upper hand. Now, no different than the stock market, the market shifts. And a lot of people are expecting the second half of this year into next year, and I'm one of them, the market to shift and us to start seeing prices rise. Us to start to see inventory drop, more homes selling, new Fed chair, potential drops in interest rates because of the AI industrial revolution that we have going on. So all of these things point to some potential changes in the future. When you look at how the stock market moves, you hear a lot of people say the best way to create wealth in the stock market is to buy the dip. In the stock market, the dip doesn't stick around very long. It's a very quick moving market. With Iran, for example, you had the major indices drop 10+% in some situations. So, a lot of people that expected that all of it would resolve bought a bunch of, put a bunch of money in the stock market right then. And then sure enough, as the Iran conflict started to resolve, the market caught back up and passed where it was before. Buying the dip made people a lot of money. Real estate is the same thing, but it's really slow moving, meaning that that dip doesn't last, a matter of days. It might last a year. I believe we're in the middle of one of those dips right now, but I think we're nearing the end of it. So as a buyer, you are very well positioned right now if you are buying for the long haul, meaning that if you are buying and you're going to stay in your home for 6 or 7 years. If you're buying for a year or two, you never know. No one can time the market perfectly, but I still think you'd be okay. I still think it'll be better. I still think prices will be higher in a year or two. But again, 7 years, you're guaranteed you're gonna do well. So the key that I would tell you is, when you're looking at it from a perspective of trying to time the market, you're never going to time it perfectly. Okay. You're never going to time the bottom perfectly. You got to get close enough. You got to buy the trend. And I think that trend right now, where we're at with what we've seen happen with prices stabilizing, transactions starting to creep up a little bit, 5 month supply of inventory in Tampa, homes taking a little longer to sell. I think we're on the precipice of a boom that's going to come in the second half of this year and the first half of next year, where the people that are looking to buy right now are going to really win. You've got builders out there throwing crazy money at people. You've got resale homes in builder communities selling well below what the builders are selling for. You have an opportunity to get instant equity, interest rate buy downs, all of these things. And if you're buying for the long term, your interest rate isn't as relevant as you think it is, because most people refinance when the rates drop. So you have to think of it like, yes, of course, rates are high. And when they're high, it means prices are down. It means you get a better buying opportunity. It means you get a better long-term value. So maybe you get our interest rate in the sixes, the mid sixes right now, and you get a good price. And then rates drop to the low fives or the high fours in a year. What's going to happen is you'll be able to then say, okay, well, let me go and refinance to get that rate so that my payment can drop. But now prices are going to rise because all the buyers are going to flood the market. You never want to follow the masses. Okay. I've always said that when you follow the masses, just remove the M, and that's who you're following. Okay. You want to be ahead of them. Okay. If you're jumping in at the same time that the masses are jumping in, guess what? You missed it. This is an excellent opportunity right now to buy the dip in Tampa. You can get a better deal. You can buy before rates drop, when prices will rise. All of these economic indicators, GDP rising, all of this stuff, the fact that the stock market bounced back as healthy as it did with this Iran situation tells you a lot of the noise about weakness in the economy is false. When I see surveys talk about weakness in the economy, I kind of laugh, because the only survey that really, because it's so politicized is what I mean by that. Meaning that if you're someone that hates President Trump right now, it doesn't matter what greatness happens in the economy, you're going to find a negative and say it's horrible because you have TDS, okay? You're so focused on hating the president. If you are the place to really know how healthy and who's buying the economy is the stock market. If it is up massively, it doesn't matter what anyone's surveys say about what's happening in the economy, because politics and how polarizing politics are today is completely usurping so many people's rational thoughts about looking at their bank accounts, looking at their income, or looking at what's going on. The stock market tells us it is the true indicator. It is the buy and sell point, and same thing with the real estate market. When I see consumer sentiment surveys, I think they're toilet paper today. They're toilet paper because people have been brainwashed and they're so biased about what's going on in the economy, when what we really need to pay attention to is the economic activity, the GDP, the CapEx growth, the stock market at record highs, even with the Iran conflict still going on, stock market at record highs. All of these things point towards increased GDP, improvements in the economy, especially when all this stuff washes out. So my opinion, generational buy opportunity right now. I think we're in the trough. I think you're going to see an upswing in the market. And I think there are a lot of buyers that have this great opportunity to get a good deal, to set their family up for success, to save money in the long term by getting a better price. And maybe, they do have a higher payment for a year or two. But I think all signs point towards, interest rates relief in the future. Even with, I heard, I listened to some of the new Fed chair's interview with the Senate, Kevin Warsh. And even with inflation pushed up, he still seems pretty adamant that we can have an interest rate cuts because he believes the AI revolution is going to improve margins, improve companies' profit numbers, and create additional GDP without as much labor, which that productivity swing releases the, and has some impact for interest rate relief, even if inflation is short-term up because of the Iran war. So I believe we're going to see interest rate cuts for the next few years. I think that the economic situation is going to improve, and I think again Tampa Bay is still one of the best positioned markets in the country. I looked the other day. It's funny. I have a friend that lives in the Midwest and has owned his home for 10 years, and I looked at his appreciation. And I was kind of floored at how low it was. And then I looked at the appreciation over 10 years of a lot of the real estate I own, and it's not even close, okay? We are still very well positioned. We are in demand, okay? We're in demand in Florida because people are moving here, okay? We're going to get more people move here when property tax relief happens. We're going to get more people move here when other states keep passing these crazy laws about taxes and going these crazy paths, not center paths, but way far left paths are moving people here. There are enough people that are saying, I don't want to live in this political climate in this state with this economic situation. I am moving. We've never seen more people move because of politics. And the reason I say that is because we know we're talking to them. We're moving them here. We're asking them questions like, what is it that brought you here? And we're hearing things like, well, I'm moving from Portland because they've done some crazy stuff. I'm moving from Washington. I'm moving from California. It's wild because the first, probably I would say 12 plus years of my real estate career, we never had people move from California. Like never. The only time we would ever have people move from California were PCS. We would have military moves. Somebody coming from, one of the military base, Pendleton, somebody moving from California for the military. That would be it. Okay. Now we have a lot of it. And again, it's because of some of these policies in these states don't align with people's belief systems. So they're moving to areas that more align with their belief systems. And that is what is going to continue to move people to Florida. Of course, it's going to move some people out too. Okay. It's going to move some people out. There's going to be some people that are going to say, hey, I want to be in that area, but it's going to move people here. And as it moves people here, it improves our real estate market. It creates more demand, and supply isn't keeping up. That's just the reality of it. When you look at how much supply is getting created by builders, we are still way behind trend. So when interest rates improve, when these market movements happen, when the stock market keeps rising and creating wealth for people, especially entrepreneurs and wealthy people that live in different parts of the country that want to move their whole businesses to Florida, they want to move their whole company to Florida to avoid some of these kind of draconian tax policies, all these things are going to line up, and what's going to happen? Our prices are going to boom. We're going to have a real estate boom again. That's what I believe. Now, is it next week? No. Is it next month? No. Is it 6 months from now? You're going to start to see some of it. A couple years down the line, I think we're going to be in an incredible real estate market in Tampa, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that fail to buy right now. They're going to leave a lot of money on the table and have regrets. They're going to say, man, I lost $100,000 or $200,000 by not buying now, 2 or 3 years down the line. So again, buyers, you have an opportunity you have not had in a long time to get a good deal, and to get a great price on a house, to have the competition that is going to show up, not show up. Now, here's the only wild card in all of this, okay? In my opinion, all this stuff is pretty much locked in. It's a matter of how fast it happens. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of how fast, okay? The economic policies in this country are set up to boom the real estate market. It's heading in that direction, especially in our state. The only wild card is storm season. Okay. The thing that could blow it all up is if we have another year where we get hit direct with 2 really bad storms like we did last year. That obviously can wipe out a lot of this momentum. So if we have a clean hurricane season this year like we did last year, okay, I think we are set up for an incredible bull run in Tampa real estate. And everybody not buying it right now is going to wish that they did. When I see the prices happening in Miami for waterfront, I see $100 million properties and how much of a value we are for some of our waterfront comparably. There are going to be consumers that are going to look at Miami and say, I don't really want to spend $100 million. I can go to Tampa and spend 20. And Tampa's close. I'll keep my 80 million. You know, like there literally are enough people out there that I think we're going to be seen as that value play, and we're going to get a lot of movement of population. So hopefully that makes sense to you. We would love to help you if you're thinking about buying, if you're looking for an off-market property, if you are, thinking about buying in any price range. We've got an agent that is an expert in what you need. Just go to theduncanduo.com or duncanduo.com, either one of them. We got them both. And sign up or call or text us at 813-359-8990. Going to be back wrapping up the last segment after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show.
Back to the Duncan Duo Radio Show, hosted by Andrew Duncan, official real estate agents of the Tampa Bay Lightning and the team that guarantees your home sells with ease. Visit theduncanduo.com right now. Here's Andrew Duncan.
So back talking about Tampa Bay real estate when we aren't on air at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. If you're a real estate agent thinking about a career change, thinking about joining a team that is aggressively growing and making investments in technology right now, we are the place for you. Just hit us up at jointheduo.com or slide into those DMs on any one of our social channels. It's funny, I talk about investment in new technology. I'm an investor in a real estate tech company, and I was seed money, new company starting, a founder that's a good friend of mine. I do a decent amount of investing in private equity. And so he knew this, and we had a conversation, and I've been able to kind of beta test things. He calls it alpha testing things, by the way, which I think is a better way to call it. But I've been testing some of these new technologies, and this week we rolled out this technology that is AI calling and AI texting to leads on our database. Now, these are leads that have opted in, that have checked off yes, that have shared their contact information, that have authorized us to communicate with them. And, listening to these phone conversations, to me, it was, I actually texted him and said, I feel like real estate sales just changed forever, because the amount of people you can communicate with AI and conversational AI that's been trained to educate itself on real estate and how fast it responds is pretty incredible. And, at the same time, I think consumers, especially any consumer out there that's scared about AI. Look, we all are. I saw Terminator. I saw iRobot. I've seen the movies. Okay, so I get it. Everyone's a little spooked about it. However, the ability to use that kind of technology to help our customers. So that's the thing that I'm most excited about, to be able to stay in touch with our customers, to be able to extend leverage for our agents. I mean, we had 35 phone calls yesterday that were conversations, not phone calls. There were a lot more phone calls. 35 conversations yesterday that our AI had with our clients. And that information gets shared with our agent. Then our agent gets to see those notes and then develop a plan, or AI develops the plan. So the ability for AI to be able to communicate with more people, make adjustments to their home search, make adjustments to their listing. All of these things are things that are coming to real estate. So I'm excited because we're on the cutting edge. We're one of 3 teams in the country that is part of this alpha group for AI phone calling to our customers. And so far, it's gone incredibly well. And I think it's a great value add for the agents that join my team because we are ahead of the game with the technology. We're advancing new stuff, and I'm an investor in a lot of these companies. So I see how it works and how to adapt it to real estate. I think there are a lot of real estate people out there that are unfortunately still thinking in 2019. I was on a call this week, and I heard everyone saying, well, I need more of this, and I need more of that. And I don't think they realize what's coming, and so they're not prepared. So if you're a real estate agent, you're at a team, and you're not hearing a lot of conversation about these types of things, you may not be prepared. You may want to be somewhere where you are prepared, and we'd love to help you with that. If you're a customer, look, let's face it, like Google has been the name of the game. You needed your property to pop up in Google searches. You needed your business to pop up in Google searches. You needed to be able to Google and find your house, where more and more consumers are going to AI for those searches. So who is optimizing? Well, we are. You can go and search and you'll find us. You'll ask for the best agents, and you're going to see my name pop up again and again, and my team name pop up again and again. So we know how to optimize for that. We also know how to optimize the property for AI too. And so we're doing things that are advancing. We're using AI to communicate with our database when we have a customer that's looking for something unique that maybe isn't on the market. These are all ways that we can benefit our customers so that they can accomplish their real estate goals, and so can our agents. So I'm super excited. I'm definitely as optimistic as I can be about AI. Of course, there's risk. Of course, there's always the doomers. There's the people that think the world's going to end and all this. But the reality is for the truth is that we don't have any control over if that's going to happen or not. None of it. There's not going to be some revolution where people stop using AI. It's got the momentum. It is adding value to people's life. It is saving them time. It's making them money. And it's here to stay. It is going to be the new way. Eventually, we're not even going to be calling it AI anymore. We're just going to call it business. That's how people run their business. And so how people are going to run their business in this new age, we want to be on the cutting edge so that real estate agents can benefit and our customers can win too. So whether you're looking for a home and not finding it, whether your home isn't getting the right marketing because maybe you think it's not optimized for AI and it maybe doesn't pop up in searches, if there's not content created around it. So we are doing things and learning because we're very early. And I think some of the really, really big companies are going to have a hard time with pivoting to AI. They're going to have a hard time rolling it out. And I'm really excited about the size of my team because I think we're at a size where we can effectively pivot and integrate it without having, this enormous company where you've got to retrain how people think. So if you're somebody that feels like the cutting edge of marketing isn't happening for you or a cutting edge buyer representation, we're using these new tools to help our clients win and satisfy our clients, look for new ways and stay educated. And, like all of our agents have multiple chatbots. The company pays for one of the most valuable ones. And so they're able to, go into their email and, find things easier, ask it to draft something, help with negotiations, help with research. But in addition, we have agentic AI, which is the calling and texting and communicating with people to help our agents talk to more people and leverage themselves just like an assistant would do. So love where technology is going, love how I'm able to deploy it to help our customers win, and we hope to earn your business. So you can just hit us up again at theduncanduo.com or call or text 813-359-8990, and we'd love the opportunity to earn your business. So have an awesome rest of your week in Tampa Bay, and thanks for tuning in.